I really hate the statement that art is subjective. And I first heard it from Americans, most specifically left-leaning Americans, and with the internet it spread almost everywhere. But like, this did not exist here in Eastern Europe. Like this statement that you cannot objectively judge a piece of art by any standard is beyond ridiculous. Like, you are telling me that if you have a chorus and the people are singing out of tune, like, that's not going to influence the quality of the song? Like, is there really no objective way to measure if something is good or not? Then how can you put a price on it? Why is some art more expensive than other? How can you judge, if you have a house and you want to put a painting on a wall, like, how can you judge if this painting is going to be appreciated by people or not? Because clearly, I can tell you right now that if I put a picture of a trash can on my wall, almost everyone that's going to walk into the house is going to be disgusted. How do I have this magic? How do I have this power of foreseeing how other people are going to react to a piece of art if it's entirely subjective? And there's no objective way to talk about it. Like, if you're going to color outside the lines, I'm going to say, yeah, like that coloring, probably not very good, not many people will pay for it. Especially now that I'm creating a video game. Like, how do I know by looking at an artist that I can say, yeah, like, this artist has improved over the years? Like, how can I even make this statement if art is entirely subjective? How can you say that this artist is better than the other one? How can you decide, like, this artist is better to hire and is actually worth a lot more than this other artist? Why are artists so afraid of AI? I mean, hey, like, AI can just be another artist that draws, right? It is so annoying. Of course, there is a subjectivity level in art. But the idea that there is nothing objective and there is no way to appraise art, at least here in Eastern Europe, we also had a similar mentality to defend bad art. But it made more sense in a way. They would say something like, okay, so this right here is really good art. And if you don't see that, then you're the problem. Like, you're not educated. You're not sophisticated enough to understand just how amazing this art is. So they would say that, yeah, like, some art is better than other. But, like, if you can't see what is better art, then you're the problem. Versus the American way, no, like, art is subjective. And notice how they say art is subjective usually when you complain about something, right? Like, if you say a piece of shit is beautiful, they're not going to say, well, hold on a little bit. Like, art is subjective. You may think that piece of shit is good, but, like, in reality it's bad. They usually use this when it comes to movies as well. Like, you can say, well, this movie sucked or this comic book sucked, and they're like, oh, well, art is subjective. You can't really make that claim. But anyway, right, I digress. It's very easy to tell you if something is objectively good or bad. I can't do art, okay? Everything that comes from these hands is shit. So, if you do something and I can reproduce it, it's objectively shit. If you do something and I can't reproduce it, then it's probably good. Maybe shit as well, but, like, at least we don't know for sure. But I can definitely tell you for sure that if you do something and I can reproduce it, it's bad. So, now we got to the point where we have to pretend that this is good, right? And apparently a lady that broke it doesn't have to pay the $42,000 because it has insurance. Okay, now my question is this. If this art was legitimately that good and that valuable, why wasn't it behind the glass? Why didn't it have, like, some security or something to make sure that people don't break it? I mean, if you have the Mona Lisa, okay, that's a little bit more expensive. But if you have, like, a valuable piece of art, wouldn't you at least put it somewhere where people can't touch it? Didn't it happen, like, a couple of years ago where there was a banana on the wall and that was worth $120,000? Like, take into account that was before inflation. It would probably be worth, I guess, like, around $200,000 now. So a $200,000 banana peeled on a wall gets eaten by someone, and no one is even freaking out about it. Like, can you imagine how much people would freak out about, like, if you actually destroyed something valuable? Like, I was always impressed by the ability of people to be able to make sculptures out of stone, right? So, like, the artist inhales a lot of that, his health is at risk. There's very little room for error. Like, if you mess it up, very difficult to fix it. Now, think about it. Before people had the tools we have today, so think about, like, the classical era. Imagine if someone is doing this sculpture and you break it, imagine how upset that person would be, because like there was so much energy and time that was being placed into that, plus the cost of the materials and everything like that. Like, they would be enraged. But when you destroy this shit, no one cares. Even though it's supposed to be worth $42,000. Right? And this is the absolute level that we're at. This is why you get CalArts. You get CalArts because people put up with this shit. Like, no one is saying, okay, but this looks dreadful. You're like, surely you can do better than CalArts. Like, I understand why you're doing it. It's because you want to save money. But surely you can do something better than that. We're not going to get that, right? Because you get the, oh, well, art is subjective. Yeah, sure. Art is subjective. Okay. Again, I do have to wonder this. If you genuinely believe that art is subjective, why do some artists claim that they've improved over the years? Because like, there is no improvement. It's subjective, you know? Like, some people... Why is it that some people look at an artist and say, oh, you know, I really liked how that guy used to draw 4 years ago, but now his drawings are complete shit. Why don't we have that? Why do people go to art school then? What is the purpose of going to art school? Like, there's clearly no way of doing it properly. So it means like, if you put a pencil up your asshole and you wiggle the ass cheeks a little bit on a piece of paper, that's just as good as a Mona Lisa, right? Because art is subjective. God, I really hate this. I don't know. Am I doing but my cynical Eastern European brain, which is rarely wrong, is looking at this and I'm thinking like, money laundering scheme. That's literally what it goes into my head. You know, like, how can you get talentless people that are corrupt in a position where they can pretend that they've made something that's worth $42,000? At least I know how it works in Romania. I don't know if it's the same in the US. I think like in the US it's more with tax exemptions, right? Like you donate money for a charity or something like that, and all of a sudden you get a tax exemption. But like in Romania, let's say you have a mayor and he wants to steal a little bit of the taxpayer money. Now, he can't just take it, because that's illegal. But what he can do is to commission an artist, which is not talented at all, and the artist makes an art piece. And the art piece, let's say, is going to cost the city $20,000. So, the city, the mayor, uses the taxpayer money to pay the artist. The artist puts the art in a public space, and then they share the money. Like, the artist comes to the mayor, you know, late at night, knocks at his door, right, here's 10 grand, 10 grand for the artist, and there you go, you managed to take some taxpayer money. And you do this by making sure that the artist isn't talented, right? Like, he doesn't put effort in the art, he doesn't work hard. It's like a modern art, a re-envisioning, maybe a boulder that's just placed somewhere. Doesn't require much effort. And I think that this is it. The people who are saying that art is subjective are just doing it so that you get talentless people being recognized. But hey, let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section.